Disruptive.
America that I fought.
Weird thing to happen. Hello, one and all. Welcome to this edition of Kitz Corner. It's been a fantastic day so far. So the Liberal Party came out with this tweet, and it just shows the out-of-touch lunacy that they are. The Liberal Party of Canada, just absolutely, it shows how much of a disgrace they are when it comes to the rapporteur of Canadians, and just how they don't even see how hypocritical they are with their own social media posts. They thought they were trying to do another hit piece on Pierre Poilievre, but to remind people, when they try to do hit pieces on Pierre Poilievre, and there's a lot to be said of Pierre Poilievre, because I think, every political party here in Canada, just much like the States, much like anywhere in the world, definitely needs that hefty dose of criticism. I think they need that healthy dose of making sure they're on the right track of, being there for Canadians. They just really, the Liberal Party, every time they do a hit piece on Pierre Poilievre, it just blows back right in their face. So, for example, this came out, and I found this so hilarious. The Liberal Party tweeted, here's how Pierre Poilievre treats Canadians' free press. Here's how Pierre Poilievre treats Canada's free press. Now, let me just remind people that while they're trying to criticize Pierre Poilievre and his treatment of the free press, and you're probably going to see what this video is about, the Liberal Party themselves have undermined independent journalism to the point that they've manufactured laws to go after podcasters, to go after people posting on social media. They're the ones increasing censorship. They're the ones charging people for making misinformated posts. They're the ones cracking down on journalists and having the police go after those people while they're making these posts, while they're saying that Pierre Poilievre, because he spoke up to a journalist, he's the irrational one. He's the one threatening free press. And they said, does it remind you of someone? And it's just absolutely hilarious that they're trying to compare the two between Pierre Poilievre and Donald Trump. Take a look at this.
You are attacking our news organization.
Not you.
Can you give us a chance?
Your organization
You are
is
attacking
terrible.
our news organization.
Your organization
Can you give
is
us a
terrible.
chance
Let's
to
go.
ask a question?
We have basically a liberal heckler who snuck in here today.
These newspapers and the media are totally dishonest people, folks. Remember that.
Contrary to the false and dishonest reporting of the liberal media.
Yeah, I think the media is the opposition party in many ways.
I think CP should stop acting as the communications arm of the PMO.
You know, when I look at the media, how one-sided it is, how biased it is.
Well, first of all, your question was typical of CBC.
So this is apparently the comparison that they're using, saying that Donald Trump and Pierre Poilievre are very similar because, oh my God, they actually spoke out against some journalists out there and are being critical of them. Oh my God, that's such violation of free press. Let's put on C11, let's put on C18, and make sure that we have trusted media sources. I mean, comparing Pierre Poilievre to Donald Trump, it shows not only is the Liberal Party completely out of touch of what they're saying, but they don't even know how to do a proper comparison. They don't even know how to really do a jab. Because it's like comparing, Jackie Gleason to Jackie Chan. Like, they're all very similar. Well, how are they similar? Well, both their names start with Jackie. Is that it? Like, oh, two of them have talked to, journalists in an uncomfortable way. And again, compare that to what's happening right now, where they're creating laws to go after podcasters, to go after independent journalists, to go after people that are critical of government corruption, that are critical of big pharmaceuticals, that are critical of foreign wars. Consider the fact that Canada, much like their counterparts in the United States, have stayed relatively silent when it comes to one of the truest journalists that has been in prison, tortured for the longest time, and that's Julian Assange. Canada hasn't said anything about that. America has never said anything about it. Now, there's not many mentions about Julian Assange when they kept peddling the idea that they're the party of free press. Well, they'll do pathetic jab pieces like this to say somehow Pierre Poilievre is similar to Donald Trump because, oh my God, you called out a CBC journalist, just like you did with CNN. Oh, how dare they? How dare they? They're a higher up than people. They're not allowed to be criticized. And if you look at every single administration has always done the exact same thing. Always have, called out journalists or said they're not their favorites or you're a terrible organization. At all levels. I once went to a press conference where the main speaker, the one MC, literally stood up and someone was, interrupting them. They were part of a local newspaper and they were told to shut up right there. Like, it happens all the time. It happens all the time, folks. That's what I'm saying. This is not a rare instance where Donald Trump and Pierre Poilievre are the only two people capable of telling a journalist to shut up. It's just such a rare case. No, it's not. It happens all the time. So, Viva Fry points out, he says, you MFers literally just, so he's talking to the Liberal Party, you MFers literally just imprisoned, assaulted, and wrongfully arrested a journalist. And you have the balls to make this about Trump or Poilievre. You really are evil. Your day of reckoning will come. And what exactly does he mean by that? Well, just recently, as this post is coming out, just showing the hypocrisy of the Liberal Party, this just happened recently. Canadians outraged after rebel news reporter arrested while asking the Deputy Prime Minister, Chrystia Freeland, questions. So again, who's the worst person when it comes to free press? Who exactly are the worst people when it comes to providing access of information? Because Chrystia Freeland just arrested a person for asking questions. Donald Trump there just told him to shut up. Just told him to sit down. You had a terrible organization. That's the Donald Trump way. You know who he is. You know his ego. You know kind of the mannerisms he has. You knew it was coming. But Chrystia Freeland and Justin Trudeau and Joe Biden and Kamala Harris in the States, they actually have arrested people. They have locked and detained people for the act of journalism. They have censored and silenced people. They have shut down accounts. They have frozen bank accounts of people that are trying to provide truth. They're trying to execute one of the top journalists of the world, Julian Assange. Do you tell me who's worse when it comes to protecting free speech? So, this is from LifeSite. And it says, outrage has exploded on social media this week following the aggressive arrest of Rebel News reporter David Menzies on Monday night, following video footage of which seems to show the Canadian reporter being falsely accused of assault by a police officer and then immediately apprehended while he was attempting to ask Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland questions on a public street. In a video recorded and published Monday that has since gone viral online with close to 10 million views, Menzies can be seen walking beside Freeland on a street in Toronto suburb of Richmond Hill, Ontario, while attempting to ask her questions about Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, that's the IRGC, and why the groups have not been given a terrorist designation by Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's Liberal government, of which she is second in command. Seconds later, the video footage appears to show a plainclothes police officer who is said to be a member of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, positioning his body directly in Menzies' footpath, effectively forcing physical contact between him and the reporter. So there was a guy undercover for the RCMP posing as a random civilian, purposely trying to arrest this journalist. You want to see how this unfolded? Do you want to see the assaults at foot here? Because this is the footage of Rebel News asking questions to a politician which is the most common thing you would see in everyday life. A journalist is asking questions of a high authority figure like the Deputy Prime Minister of Canada. And watch what happens.
The IRGC is not a terrorist group. Why is your government supporting Islamo-Nationalism? What? Excuse me. What are you doing?
You're under arrest for assault. Why are you pushing me? You're under arrest for assault. You're under.
So the undercover officer is saying you're arrested for assault. The reporter never even touched anybody. The reporter never touched anybody. The officer, though, grabbed him and pushed him towards a bus stop. Pushed him towards a bus stop. And you're telling me that the journalist is at fault for assault? You're the one that's grabbing him and pushing him to a bus terminal. Let's, again, watch this.
IRGC is not a terrorist group. Why is your government supporting Islamo-Nationalism? What? Excuse me. What are you doing?
You're under arrest for assault. Why are you pushing me? You're under arrest for assault.
And not only pushed him, but you heard it there. It was like a slam. They slammed him towards the bus terminal there. You can hear like pow, the back of his head. They slammed a journalist to the back of a bus terminal because he walked up and asked Christian Freeland a question. That's the apparent assault that was happening. As AOC would say, that is violent. That's violent. This man was using words, and words are violent, ladies and gentlemen. You know, not promoting war overseas and sending our tax dollars to fund that war. That's not violent. That's security. That's safety. That's helping our buddies. That's going to help Canadians somehow, even though Canadians are starving out in the street and has 99 problems to deal with, and Israel and Palestine and everything else. That's not part of it. The amount of homeless veterans that are on the street, and we're sending millions and billions of dollars to other countries to initialize war as a peacekeeping nation. Like, that's what I would be concerned with. That's what I'm concerned with. That's things I'd be asking Christian Freeland. And I'm sure I would be pushed to the ground and charged with assault. Because God forbid we ask people who are at higher power a question about what they are doing in their power. How they're actually helping Canadians, holding them accountable, being critical. You know, the things that journalism is supposed to be.
You're under arrest for assault. Police, you're under arrest for assault. How am I under arrest? You bumped into me. You pushed into me. You bumped. I was just scrubbing. I got my credentials here, and you just bumped in.
So he's claiming, the officer is saying that he's charged with assault because somehow the reporter bumped into him. Even though the undercover cop was standing in front of him purposely so that the journalist would bump into him. This was all planned out. They did that purposely. They did it purposely. And the undercover RCMP officer is charging him with assault just because he bumped into him by accident, and the officer takes him over and pushes him to a bus terminal. Pushes him right against there.
Into me. So excuse me.
You're under arrest.
What is your name and your badge? What is your name and your badge?
You've been told you're under arrest.
Why am I under arrest? He blocked my way. What? I was just scrumming Christian Freeland.
I'm a police officer. You're under arrest.
What is your name and your badge?
Assaulting a police officer.
How is
that? Oh my! That's such a stupid ass goddamn comment to say. Well, I'm a police officer and you're under arrest. Well, how am I under arrest? I just asked the Deputy Prime Minister a question. I'm a journalist for Rebel News. I was just asking a question. Listen, I'm the police officer. You're a nobody, and I'm going to arrest you, okay? That's how it's going to work. Capiche? Like, that's the mentality. That's the mentality of an officer like that. Like to go to that level of stupidity of trying to pull that shit off. Like, oh, I'm the officer. and you're under arrest, I'm not going to tell you why you're under arrest because I'm the officer and I know better. You know, I assaulted you, pushing you against the bus terminal because you are doing your job.
Is that possible?
Okay, because
You assaulted me 3 years ago when blackface was back.
I was very aggressive what was happening.
You mean I was asking questions aggressively?
No, your actions were. You were almost pushing everybody over. That's how it appears.
So I don't know who this other guy is. I'm assuming she's that's part of Freeland's posse there. This guy was saying that he was being aggressive, that David Menzies was being aggressive towards Chrystia Freeland. And he responds, well, was I aggressive with my questions? Was I aggressive? Like, explain to me how the aggression was. And this guy can't even come up with an answer. He's saying, well, you were kind of aggressive in the way you were, walking there. Like, you looked angry, I guess. I guess you look kind of angry, and that's what triggered people. Huh? How dare you walk in a suspicious way? Like, now they're just pulling excuses out of their ass to try to find a way to arrest this journalist for the simple act of journalism. And meanwhile, the Liberal Party has the balls to criticize Pierre Poilievre of free speech and free press.
Lincoln, you got this on video, right? He's saying I'm pushing people over.
Yeah,
That's an absolute falsehood.
There were feet were shuffling.
So now it appeared that way. That's what you're saying, officer? It appeared I was pushing people.
So he's saying it appeared that way, which is definitely a false. That's a lie right there. That's the obvious lie. It appeared that he came up and started pushing people, even though this guy has been recording the whole time. The whole time he was there, he was recording. The moment he walked up to Chrystia Freeland, asking questions, the officer came in, pulled him over, pushed him against the bus terminal, tried to assault the journalist, and then trying to charge the journalist with assault. And this guy can't even come up with an answer. Well, it appears to be that you did something aggressive, and that's why the officer did what he did, because he's an officer. Okay?
I didn't touch a single person. That was a little bit aggressive for what was happening. Get that. You're under arrest. Please take the microphone out of my face.
Well, I'd like an ongoing record of this.
Can I have the microphone? Can I have the microphone? Can I have the microphone?
Don't resist.
Can you give?
I'm not resisting. Take your hand out. Why am I under arrest? I'm just doing my job.
He's getting assaulted for claiming he assaulted the officer because he asked Chrystia Freeland questions as a journalist. Do you see how goddamn hypocritical, how goddamn ridiculous? Do you see how not really any of these parties care anything about free press or free speech? At least Pierre Poilievre appears to be, I'm going to use that phrase because that just sounds more interesting. He appears that he cares about free speech and freedom of the press. But I would say Pierre Poilievre cares more than the Liberal Party. I would say that for sure. He cares way more than what's happening with Justin Trudeau and the Liberal Party and the NDP and other political parties here in Canada. I'd say he's definitely way ahead. But I would also criticize Pierre Poilievre's decision when it comes to Julian Assange. I would criticize him when it comes to censorship or, its treatment to independent media sources and podcasters. Would he be supportive of C11, C18? All these things that should be acknowledged and highly criticized with the political party. I would definitely be holding a candle to holding feet to the fire for that. This is just crazy. This is just crazy. And this happened moments before that tweet came out of the Liberal Party criticizing Pierre Poilievre sounding like Donald Trump to the press. And again, I hold the question to you. Who is more dangerous to journalism? The Liberal Party that you just see arresting people for asking questions and creating laws to vindicate against podcasters and streamers and independent sources, or Pierre Poilievre and the Conservative Party that just told them to be quiet? Who is more dangerous here? Who is more of a threat in the age of the information era, in the age of journalism? Who is more of a danger at this point? This is just absolutely crazy that in the true patriot love of Canada, the free media and the free press and the free open society, we're so diverse here in Canada. Meanwhile, we're witnessing journalists getting arrested for the act of journalism. And now I understand why Canada's so silent about Julian Assange now. I can see it clearly why they're so silent about Julian Assange. Because they care, I guess they care so much about journalism. They care so much about trusted sources. That's why they're going to let the top journalist of the world, the guy responsible for releasing the war criminal activity of the top elitist criminal officials that should be prosecuted. The journalist is being prosecuted. Because that's going to make us safer. That's going to make us more free. That's going to make us more secure and knowledgeable. If we don't have that information, if we don't realize that we're being scammed and constantly manipulated by evil, nefarious goons at the top. What an age we live in.